If I was Prince Andrew, I actually wouldn't want to be seen because it's just getting embarrassing at this point.
Prince Andrew has been urged to stay out of sight for Christmas. It's a bit dramatic, isn't it, really? Palace insiders have told The Times that the Duke should recognise his residual duty to the crown and keep a low profile. This all follows the news of his connection to an alleged Chinese spy known only as H6. Now, Sienna, I know you're a huge royal fan, and you know that walk that they do on Christmas Day to church is a big moment for you. Will you be? Will you be?
I barely know what you're talking about. Like, literally.
Okay. Do you think he should stay away, or do you think he should just proudly remain, recognise doing his residual duty to the crown and take part in that particular walk?
Of course he should stay away, but not just for Christmas, for good. I mean, surely everyone thinks that. For the good of the institution, if not anything else. Yeah, well, it's ridiculous that he still has any involvement. I understand that there are family loyalties, but no, he's ruining them on every level and repeatedly.
A family that prays together stays together. No, maybe not. Albie, what do you think? Can you defend Prince Andrew at all? A lot of people are saying this is a witch hunt and it's getting ridiculous now.
I think families can maybe pray together privately, but certainly not publicly in this case. I don't know. I didn't know it was possible for one person to bring so much shame both on their family and on their country. Like, if I was Prince Andrew, I actually wouldn't want to be seen because it's just getting embarrassing at this point. And I appreciate, there are human stories and he might have been tricked, but he does have a knack for associating with some pretty odd people that other members of the royal family don't seem to have the same knack for hanging around with people that turn out to be either terrible criminals or, in this case, Chinese spies. So I think maybe Andrew needs to pick his friends a little bit more carefully, and then maybe he can come back in 10 years' time.
Sienna, George Fawkes, Lord Fawkes, who's one of the people within the Houses of Parliament who may name this alleged Chinese spy H6 today, although he says that he prefer it to be done in the Commons. He says that the problem for Prince Andrew, as he sees it, is that if you have money worries, your judgment is different to how it would be if you don't have money worries. In other words, allegedly you could come under the influence of people or try to cozy up to people that you would not otherwise. Do you think that could be a problem here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the fact that he is so compromised, not just financially, but reputationally, does make him vulnerable. And that's another reason, apart from the further damage that he's doing to the royal family's reputation, that he should probably stay away and keep a low profile and just stay out of things. I mean, we know about this in terms of politicians as well. If you are financially compromised, then you're vulnerable. And that's the reality. I mean, I think in terms of naming the spy, the spy's name is already out there on the internet. You can just Google it. So at this point, it seems that anonymity order, I'm not sure about why it's still in place, really, because in the age of the internet, it just seems a bit redundant.
What I've noticed is a couple of people have said, I've Googled it and I know who it is now, and it makes I don't know who this person is, and it doesn't make any difference. And we put that to George Fawkes, Sienna, and he said, well, the point is that once people know the individual, then if they do a little bit further information, they will see the kind of person we're talking about and what involvement they have in certain things. And so it's not really about name recognizability, if that's a word, recognition. It's about this person's sphere of influence. And maybe that's the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not about whether this person is recognisable to normal people and listeners. They won't be, but it's about also a disincentive, isn't it, to spies, but also to politicians who might be quite relaxed about the kind of people that they meet. And it's just a warning shot of be very careful, vet everyone, and a Downing Street as much as anyone else, actually.
Yeah. Albie, do you think there's anything to be gained by having the name said in Parliament?
Potentially, because there might be people who aren't quite as inquisitive as Sienna, and they don't just just Google it. I've just Googled it and I found it out now. I didn't think about doing that before. So maybe it'd be useful for people who were perhaps a little bit more like me and a little bit less like Sienna. But I think I would generally agree that in the age of the internet, where you can literally just type in who is H6 on X and then a picture will literally come up of them, I don't really understand what the point of these measures are. I can completely understand the reasons why we have things like this. We also have things like super injunctions, which people think can be a little bit silly sometimes because newspapers can print something in Scotland, but they can't print something in England. But I think in this age of the internet, we do have to think about whether or not these things are still relevant, especially if it's just so easy to get the information that apparently it's too dangerous for us to have.
And finally, on this, Albie, how do you feel about what this story reveals, I suppose, about how secure we are when someone has allegedly, accessed the British establishment, and we don't exactly know what they've got from it and what the other parties got from it. What does it kind of reveal about how secure we actually are?
I don't really know what access the British establishment means. Does it just mean that you went to a drinks party and some important people were there? Does it mean that you got state secrets from these important people when you were there? Like, it's quite a broad spectrum of things that accessing the British establishment could mean. So I think I would be incredibly concerned if this H6 person was able to get state secrets and really important information and pass that back to the Chinese Communist Party. I'm not that concerned if he was at some canapes party with one of the prime ministers with warm white wine and stale canapes. So I think we've got to be very clear about what access the British establishment means when we talk about these things.
Sienna, are you concerned? Do you think it's worse than that, canapes?
I think if you're chatting casually to someone like Prince Andrew, you've got to be gleaning information that could be very useful to another state that may have hostile intentions. I just think even if it's just little bits of gossip, that's the kind of thing that can be used against us. So yeah, I do think it's important.
Little bits of gossip are what diplomats do harvest and they send
Exactly.
back. There's also this soft power point, just a point in the Times today. The alleged spy, that's H6, signed a multi-year partnership with an elite private school in the UK to open several branches on China's mainland, raising further concerns about Beijing's influence in Britain. So you have Andrew as a trade envoy, and all of a sudden he might be opening doors, and then China's power, China's influence increases as a result of it. That is probably one of the things they're trying to do. Gary says, Christmas is a time to welcome wayward members of the family. I can't see the king taking any action now. January is a different matter, though. I love this cultural reference from Brian. I can imagine the conversation with Andrew going along the lines of Ving Rhames telling Bruce Willis that he's lost all of his LA privileges in Pulp Fiction, which is a very good way of thinking about it. Did you like Dave's question, Asma? If he's
Yes.
H6, who are H1 to 5, and is there an H7?
Yes. Possibly not.
No, I think these numbers tend to be randomly assigned, but we should look into that. It's a very good question.